Tuesday noon. The light from the computer screen reflects on your face. You are staring at a watch worth $3,900, a limited edition that you have secretly desired for the past 2 years. The Add to Cart button is blinking. You glance at the banking app open on another tab. Your balance could easily swallow this $3,900 without making a dent. You do not need to borrow. You do not need to finance it. You click the mouse. The watch sits neatly in your virtual cart. But then your hand stops. You look at it for exactly 5 more seconds. Then you move the cursor to the top right corner of the screen. Click the X to close the browser and shut your laptop. You walk into the kitchen to brew a cup of coffee using your old machine, feeling a strange sense of satisfaction. You could more than afford it, but you did not click checkout. What transformed you from someone who used to go into debt for designer goods into someone who can coldly close a tab with such immense satisfaction? The answer is not frugality. It lies in a brutal truth that you paid a very high price to learn 8 years ago. Go back to when you were 27. That was the day you received your promotion. Your salary jumped from $40,000 to $75,000 a year. You felt like you had finally stepped into the ranks of the winners. And winners do not drive a beat-up car or wear unbranded clothes. You celebrated with a financing contract for a shiny new car. You upgraded your wardrobe. You started appearing at upscale restaurants and skillfully revealed the logo on your new wallet every time you paid the bill. You wanted your coworkers, your ex, and your friends on social media to see that you were winning at life. But the truth behind those glittering photos was entirely different. Your income nearly doubled, but your credit card debt also swelled to $14,000. You were trapped in the spiral of lifestyle inflation. On the outside, you looked like a successful person. But at night, when the lights went out and the bills lay cold on the table, you faced a reality that no expensive suit could cover up. You were draining yourself. But that was not the worst part. The worst part always comes when you believe you have everything under control. Your illusion lasted for 11 months, until a rainy Thursday afternoon. The engine of your shiny financed car suddenly started smoking in the middle of the highway. A tow truck pulled it to the garage. A few hours later, the mechanic called and announced a cold number: $3,000 for repairs. You stood frozen in the middle of your living room. You had a salary of $75,000 a year. You had expensive dinners and designer clothes. But right at this moment, you panicked, realizing you could not dig up $3,000 in cash. Your emergency fund was a big fat zero. You rummaged through every drawer, checked every account. Nothing. Finally, with trembling hands, you pulled out the credit card that was already near its limit and bit your lip as you swiped it. 24% interest. That was the moment your pride shattered into pieces. You realized a bitter truth. You had been bankrupt for a long time. The bank just had not sent the notice yet. All the wealth you were draping over yourself was actually just an empty shell. You were using money you did not have, to buy things you did not need, to impress people who did not actually care about you. You could not sleep that night, and the next morning you decided to start a ritual that would change your entire financial trajectory. You established an ironclad rule. Any non-essential item over $100 had to sit in a 30-day waiting period. No exceptions. During those 30 days, you forced yourself to ask one specific question. Am I buying this item for its actual utility, or am I buying it because I want other people to see me use it? The results were staggering. 90% of the items you desperately wanted on day 1 completely disappeared from your mind by day 30. You started calling this retained money your refusal to pay the stranger tax. It was agonizing at first. You had to physically fight the urge to shop to soothe your stress. You walked past store windows feeling a phantom itch in your wallet. The dopamine hit of a new purchase was missing, leaving a void that made you restless. But by the end of the first month, something shifted. You had $800 left over. For the first time in your adult life, your bank account crossed the $10,000 mark and stayed there. You slowly became addicted to a new kind of dopamine. Watching your balance grow in silence felt infinitely better than watching the clutter in your house multiply. You were finally building a wall between your emotions and your credit card. But then the real test began. Your career advanced over the next few years. Your income steadily climbed, eventually hitting $120,000 a year. You were officially a high earner. And with more money came a much heavier, completely silent pressure. Your peers were upgrading their entire existences. Coworkers at your level were trading in their sedans for luxury SUVs. They were buying oversized houses in gated communities and casually mentioning their weekend trips to expensive ski resorts. The parking lot at work became a daily scoreboard. Meanwhile, you were still driving that same repaired car. You wore plain, unbranded shirts. You could feel the weight of their judgment every time you sat in the break room. Some thought you were secretly struggling with hidden debt. Others thought you were just miserable and stingy. This was the lonely middle, the phase where you have sacrificed the visible markers of success, but the invisible rewards have not fully compounded yet. There were lonely nights when you genuinely questioned yourself. You wondered what the point of making a six-figure salary was. If you were going to live like a broke college student, the fear of missing out whispered that you were wasting your best years. You almost broke. You almost walked into a dealership to sign a lease just to get the whispers to stop. But instead of giving in to the noise, you made a choice that permanently cemented your future. You completely automated your financial system. 40% of your income was routed directly into low-cost index funds every single month. The money vanished from your checking account every 2 weeks before you could even touch it. You were quietly buying up pieces of the global economy, while your friends were buying depreciating leather seats. Years passed. The stock market had its usual violent swings. It dropped 20% one year and surged 30% the next. Your coworkers panicked, obsessively checking the financial news and selling at the bottom out of fear. You did absolutely nothing. You just kept buying. Your automated system did not care about the news. It only cared about acquiring more assets at a discount. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, the math began to tilt in your favor. The first $100,000 took you 5 agonizing years to save. The second $100,000 took 3 years. The next $100,000 took just over 18 months. Your money was no longer just sitting there. It had started going to work, hiring other dollars, and working night shifts while you slept. The compounding effect had taken over, turning your quiet restraint into an unstoppable financial machine. Fast forward to today, a completely ordinary Tuesday afternoon. You are driving home from work. You pull up to a red light in your 8-year-old sedan. The paint has lost its factory shine and there is a small dent on the rear bumper that you never bothered to fix because it does not affect the engine. Beside you, a massive brand new luxury SUV rolls to a stop. The windows roll down. The driver, a man roughly your age wearing designer sunglasses and a crisp tailored shirt, casually rests his arm on the door. He glances down at your aging car, and for a fraction of a second, you catch a faint, unmistakable smirk on his face. He revs his powerful engine, the deep rumble vibrating through your closed windows. 5 years ago, that single smirk would have destroyed your confidence. It would have triggered a deep sense of shame and inadequacy. It would have set you straight to a dealership on Saturday morning to sign away your future, just to prove to a complete stranger that you belonged in the same social class. But today, sitting in the driver's seat, your brain does not process jealousy. It does not process shame. It automatically runs a ruthless, quiet equation. You know exactly what that exact model of SUV costs. Statistically, it is fully financed. With current interest rates and the mandatory premium insurance, that man is bleeding at least $1,500 of his cash flow every single month for the next 72 months. You look at his smug face and you realize a terrifying truth. Despite his outward display of absolute dominance and visible wealth, he is highly likely to be only 2 missed paychecks away from a complete financial disaster. He is trading his future peace of mind, his retirement, and his absolute freedom just to get a temporary nod of approval from random people at a red light. The light turns green. The luxury SUV roars off, burning expensive fuel to race to the next red light. You gently press the gas pedal and proceed in complete serene silence. You do not feel superior to him. You just feel a profound, overwhelming sense of relief. The invisible audience in your head that used to dictate your spending has been entirely evicted. You have officially stopped paying the stranger tax, which brings you back to this exact moment. Tuesday noon, sitting in your kitchen. The $3,900 watch still sitting untouched in the abandoned digital shopping cart. Why did you walk away so easily? It is not because you have suddenly become overly frugal or afraid of spending money. It is because earlier this morning, before you even brushed your teeth, you opened your investment portfolio app. The balance sat quietly at $1.2 million. You have officially crossed the millionaire threshold. And the most beautiful part is that nobody in your neighborhood, nobody in your office, and nobody in your extended family has the slightest clue. If you bought that luxury watch, you would wear it to the office tomorrow. People would notice. They would compliment you, but they would also start making assumptions about your wealth. They would expect you to pick up expensive tabs, to upgrade your car next, to start playing the exhausting status game all over again. Buying the watch is not just spending $3,900. It is buying a one-way ticket back into the very cage you just spent 8 grueling years clawing your way out of. That watch is not a symbol of freedom. It is a fragile gold handcuff. You take a slow sip of your homemade coffee. Your money is no longer a tool used to purchase the envy of others. It has transformed into a massive, invisible shield that protects you from the unpredictability of life. A sudden medical bill, a toxic boss demanding you work weekends, a collapsing economy, a massive corporate layoff. To the man in the luxury SUV, these are catastrophic emergencies that would destroy his life. To you, they are merely minor inconveniences. You can walk into your boss's office tomorrow and say no to unreasonable demands because you no longer desperately need his paycheck to survive. You look out the kitchen window at your perfectly average neighborhood. You look ordinary. You live ordinary. But you hold the most extraordinary power a human being can possess in the modern world. The absolute unconditional freedom to wake up every single morning and owe absolutely nothing to the opinions of strangers. When real wealth finally permanently arrives, it does not scream for attention. It goes completely silent. And so do you.